Okay. Good morning, everybody. Or to my 29 subscribers and anybody else who watches this video. Okay, so this video is going to be about Chapter 1 of The Light, Selena Flowers. Chapter 1, Just Notice. The restaurant is crowded after the college game. Two college students, a boy and a girl, are waiting in line to pay for their lunches. He's handsome. Her eyes twinkle, and you know her soul is genuine. Their eyes meet, and in an instant, he falls for her. "Where did you get those shoes?" she asked, as he pays for his lunch. He looks down at his shoes, slightly confused. "Yes, those are the ugliest shoes I've ever seen on a guy. Where did you get them?" "I got them from Germany," he replies, looking down at them in shock. "Are they really hideous?" "Germany? Unfortunately, those shoes are not the best choice. But hey, whatever floats your boat." With a deep breath and a slight smile, he responds, "Well, my dad is in the military, and I was visiting for the summer." She realizes she's probably been rude, and the way he was so polite makes her feel something she can't quite describe. She tries to soften her tone. "I've never been outside of Alabama. What is Germany like?" "Beautiful, and the people are wonderful," he responds. The line moves, but they are standing still. She wants to keep talking, wants him to keep looking at her with those soft brown eyes. "Really? What is your fondest memory of Germany?" she asks. He thinks for a moment, and her smile reminds him of someone he knew when he was young. "Well, actually, when I was a young boy, there was this lady in the neighborhood who would bring us breakfast to our bus stop each cold morning while we waited for the bus. You know, children love hot food, especially when it's cold. There aren't enough thoughtful people in this world, and she knew what everyone liked. I mean, every single morning she made a snack to each of our likings. I remember her smile. It glowed, just like your smile." "Well, thank you." She looks down and then looks up slightly. "I'm not good with compliments. Shall we sit for a coffee and talk about it? I can teach you how to take compliments. I would love for you to help me improve in that area. It's a real challenge for me." "I'm Blaine," he says, holding out his hand to shake. "Kira," she says, taking his hand, "let's get started." So, for the next several weeks, Blaine and Kira talk every day after class and become inseparable. They talk for hours about anything and everything. Sorry, my eyes are watering. Give me a sec. Oh. Sorry about that. Okay. Whew. 1 year later, Kira says to Blaine, "I'm pregnant. All I know is that I love you, and we can make this work," Blaine says. Kira remains hopeful, but she contemplates how she can raise a child when she feels that she is still a child herself. Blaine in his last year of college and will be starting a job as a mechanic with a local dealership in a few months. Kira is studying to be a quality engineer and has another year left. Both parents say they will help as much as they can, and Kira's best friend says she will be there for her as well. Kira, who is raised in a Christian family, prays to God for guidance and asks that he illuminate her path so that she can see the way. On the day of her final exams, Kira rises early to study. It would be a long day with the exam as well as working. Of course, with the little one on the way, she feels exhausted to the point where her inner voice is saying, I don't recall a requirement to kneel on the floor to pray. The bed will do just fine. Crossing her legs under herself and straightening her back, she lowers her forehead to her fingertips while her eyelids close. She prays. Breathing deeply, she finishes praying, arises, and dresses for work. She contemplates walking to work. It's a good day to walk with the temperature around 70 degrees. A nice breeze, and she can hear the sound of the leaves swaying. However, her body is tired, too tired for a stroll, and she decides to drive instead. She parks her car at work and looks at her watch. She's early. The restaurant lights are still off. She turns off the engine, opens the window, drops her head back, and closes her eyes. She can feel the breeze and hear the trees swaying in the wind. Later in the restaurant, Kira serves an older woman. Sir, can I take your order? She asks. I hope you haven't been waiting very long. The man answers, yes, I have. However, I have nothing but time, and it's a beautiful day. My apologies. What will you have? I will have tea and your favorite dessert. My favorite dessert? She says, confused. Yes, your favorite. You sound shocked that I asked. I'm sure you are asked for recommendations often. She laughs and responds, well, actually, no, not often, but I just love the bread pudding here. Now, that's the energy I was seeking. Let's go with the bread pudding, the man responds politely. Returning with his order, Kira lowers the bread pudding on the table gently. Is there anything else I can get you? Because you mentioned it, he replies. You can take care of yourself. Kira pauses, surprised. When is the little sunshine due? He says, indicating her swollen belly. Sunshine? Kira says. Yes, the little one, the man explains. You're expecting, right? When is she coming? Oh, I'm sorry. How did you know? Kira asks. Oh, I'm just keenly observant, and you appear troubled. I am, she responds sadly. Things are not always as they appear to be, so trust in what you know is right for you. No one can tell you what is good for you. Hear that inner voice that guides you. The good news is that you know exactly what to do at this very moment. The man replies with a sense of assurance. And the bad news? Kira responds with a hint of sarcasm. Forsaking your inner voice and not trusting what you know is right for you. But if you listen and do what's right, you negate the bad news, the man replies. Kira smiles and walks away. She turns to look back at the gentleman. He returns her glance with a wink and a grin. It's been a long day at work, so, of course, Kira's feet are achy. She grabs her bag and keys and proceeds to her car. Once inside the car, she collapses in the front seat like a huge sandbag. She puts the keys in the ignition and turns, but the car won't start. She tries to call Blaine, but there is no answer. She calls her friends and her mom, but no one picks up. All calls go to voicemail, and then, as if things couldn't get worse, her phone dies. Jeez, I left my charger in the restaurant and everyone is gone. Kira mumbles to herself. It's like the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back, and she begins to cry. This is not the life she imagined for herself. It's not the life she imagined for a little one. She tells herself she's too young to impart any wisdom or guidance for her child. She thinks, what do I know about life? I can't even buy a car that starts or remember my phone charger. It takes money to give a child a fighting chance to partake in opportunities not available to all. What if the little one is gifted with music, art, or sports? It will take resources to enhance that talent. I always told myself that if I had a child, I would send him or her to a private school. Now, that's not even a possibility. I will barely have enough to feed, clothe, and keep this child warm. Kira stops crying and grabs her things and her light jacket. As she's throwing her things around in her back seat, she comes across a block of dark chocolate with almonds. It cheers her up a little, but not enough. At a snail's pace, she grimaces while she exits the car and slams the door shut. Kira decides she can walk the distance as she is not that far from home. The weather is beautiful and it's a full moon. Further up the street, she stops walking for a moment and stands still with her hands by her sides and her palms up. She closes her eyes for a moment. She can feel the cool fall breeze. The air feels fresh and comforting, and the leaves from the trees swaying with the wind sounds heavenly and calms her spirit. Her head is tilted back, enveloping herself within the fantastic, beautiful weather and the sound of the night. Breathe, Kira, she whispers to herself and begins to walk again, thinking about the child she's carrying. Her footsteps and the breeze in the trees are the only noises in the street. It's dark, but then a light falls across her path, and she looks up. As she stares ahead, she can see someone else standing on the path. For a moment, she is confused and stops. The light is emanating from the figure up ahead, and the light falls along the entire path, ending at her feet. It is as bright as the full moon on its most brilliant night, while the figure ahead of her, that she can see more clearly now that her eyes have adjusted, appears almost transparent. It's something that she's never seen before. Surprisingly, she doesn't feel scared, just curious. She walks toward the figure, and her feet follow the lighted path. However, the closer she gets, the further the figure floats backward, and then it disappears. Kara continues to walk, and then suddenly the figure is there again in the distance, standing in front of a road sign. As her eyes adjust, she can read the sign. It says, "You called, I'm here for you." In disbelief, she closes her eyes for a moment. When she opens them again, the figure and the sign are gone. The lighted path is still there. However, it leads her to the front of a church. She looks up to the church, and it's magnificent. She doesn't ever remember a church located in this part of the street. The church fills the entire block. It's huge and rises to the sky. The doors are made of beautifully crafted mahogany wood. The structure is made of the finest stone. The doorknob is exquisitely crafted from gold. The architecture is centuries old. She walks up to the door, and it's open. She walks in and sees that the church is lit with candles everywhere. Kira starts to cry. It's the most beautiful place she has ever seen. It is so peaceful. She feels that she could just kneel in front of the altar and stay there forever. She proceeds to the altar and kneels with tears in her eyes. She prays, "God, I am but a child myself, and I've made a mistake. How can I care for, guide, and teach this child? I know nothing. How do I do this? God, I only want one prayer in this life. God, please raise my child or guide me and teach me to raise this beautiful being inside of me. Please watch over, teach, guide, protect, and bestow your blessings of wisdom and understanding. Let her light shine bright, and let her love you no matter what, and you love her no matter what." She cries and says aloud, "Please protect and guide us, Reverend reverently. She lays on the floor in front of the altar, exhausted but peaceful. Okay, so that's chapter 1 of The Light. Selena Cobb Flowers. So, my eyes are watering. So, thank you for watching.